Okay, ever since I saw the first poster of this movie, I was pretty excited to see this movie. But you might say, there's nothing in this poster apart from a few names. Well, those names, these exact names got me pretty excited for this movie. Like John Krasinski, Reynolds, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. If you have seen Fleabag, you know how talented she is. And then Steve Carell. I was pretty excited about these names, and then I got to know the concept of this movie. Then I got to know the other voice actors in this movie. And then finally, the teaser trailer of this movie was just the final nail in the coffin for my excitement about this movie. And it is one of those movies which are a passion project of the director, and on top of that, it is a movie which kind of made for adults as well as kids. Like, it appeals to both demographics, and this is just that kind of a movie. But does it do the job? I would say yes, it does, but with a few hiccups in the middle. We'll talk about those hiccups at the later half of this movie, at the later half of this video. But the important thing is, what is the story of this movie? What does this all concept of if imaginary friend is all about? So it's quite simple. When you are a kid, when you are a child, you have real friends, but at the same time you have some imaginary friends as well, called as ifs. And those imaginary friends are kind of born out of your imagination, out of your mind, so they are as weird as possible. Like, there is an if in this movie which is an ice in a transparent glass. Yeah, that's an imaginary friend, that's an if in this movie. But now what happens when the kids grow old? As the kids are no longer kids, they tend to forget their imaginary friends whom they have as a child, and then those imaginary friends are kind of left behind. And then what happens to them? What happens to those imaginary friends who are left behind? This is what the movie actually deals about. And the main aim or the main mission of our main characters is to find these imaginary friends, some new kids to play with or to be their imaginary friends. But here's the thing about this movie. The movie starts off pretty nicely. It starts off with kind of a tragedy and all. But then at the middle half, I think after the first half of this movie and around that first half-ish section, the movie really dips. I mean, it really sort of goes nowhere. You are left feeling like, okay, I know what this movie is about. I know what this movie is trying to do. But where is this going? I just don't see it. Then slowly, steadily, after a few hiccups, it really goes on to the right direction, and it really gives a very, very good payoff at the end. Okay, there was a grown man, I would say 20-21-ish old, a college kid, okay. He was at the back of my seat and he was clapping at the end. But for me as well, the end was very, very nice, very, very special. And we kind of get the hints of it like throughout the movie. And you kind of at the back of the mind, you know that, okay, this might be the thing. And at the end, when that really happens, it is done quite beautifully, and yeah, it was pretty nice. But now the main thing of the movie was the execution of the real life characters, like human characters, and these imaginary friends which were in animated form. And the animation was very, very good. And all of these wonderful colors, all of these imaginary friends, like there was this unicorn, there was this huge bear. So all these imaginary friends were quite artsy, they were quite cute, you know, appealing to kids and as well as adults. The main aim of feel-good movie, and it is essentially a feel-good movie itself. Like in any feel-good movie you see, one thing they always do is the use of colors. Like all these bright, flashy, big colors, bright, loud colors, they really appeal to you and it makes you feel good at the end. It just makes you feel good, and this is exactly what they have done with the imaginary friends' colors. But I'll tell you the thing that I enjoyed the most of this movie, that was to recognize which character was giving his voice to which imaginary friend. That was the most thrilling part for me, because every time there was a new character, I was like, okay, that feels like Matt Damon, okay, that feels like Blake Lively, okay, that's Emily Blunt. That was just on throughout the video for me. That was just on throughout the movie for me. And I want to mention this little kid. She had one big moment in this movie, one big emotional moment. She nailed it. She absolutely nailed it. And now Ryan Reynolds' role was not that like he was quite charming, like he had to be quite charming in the movie. It was not like that. It was a very, yeah, I want to do a lot of things, but I'm just holding myself back kind of a thing. But he was good as well. And then John Krasinski, he came out of surprise. I didn't expect him to be in this movie. I knew he was going to have a little cameo, but I didn't expect that role to be done by John Krasinski. And he's a charming guy. It was good. But the overall message of this movie is, like, as kids we have these friends who kind of push us, who kind of are along with us, are kind of growing with us, but as we grow we just leave them. But we need those imaginary friends the most when we are older, when we are an adult, when we are facing the real life challenges. That is the time when we are actually alone, and that is the time we really need those imaginary friends. That's the basic message of this movie. At the end, I would say Nice little concept of this movie, executed beautifully. It really feels like a passion project of John Krasinski. He was the director, by the way. And then all the cast members who were voicing those ifs really did a very fine job. And most of the voice actors have a very distinct quality in their voice. Like Steve Carell has a very distinct voice. Then Bradley Cooper has a very distinct voice. Phoebe Waller-Bridge definitely has a very distinct way of saying her lines. Like she's quite fast. She really delivers her dialogue very fast. So yeah, definitely you can take your kids to the movie. And it's a very good enough feel good movie. You can check out some other videos on my channel as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching.